Hello, hello. I hope I am visible and audible to very good evening. We'll just wait for one more minute and then we'll as the title suggests, we'll be discussing about the binary files in Python. Yes, welcome to Let's Crack CBSE Science, which would help you to crack all the 11th science examinations and 12th science board examinations with Unacademy, wherein you get opportunity learn with the top educators on media, assured quality content, and obviously great. So before moving on to the class, let me give self introduction. I am Shalini. I am here in the science, a teacher by profession with 14 years of teaching various subjects, undergraduate science, computer science discipline. With an academy, I'm excited to provide an inspiring learning experience for all the students via this online platform. So, as the title suggests, today we'll be learning about binary files, Python, uh, concept of binary files, plus some sample programs to illustrate how it can be. So, a few words about Unacademy before pitching in. As you all know, Unacademy has grown out to be India's largest e-learning platform. So, it is not just for the reason that because of the pandemic situation, but also for the reason that Unacademy offers courses for a school-going CBSE student to an aspirant who's preparing for the competitive examination. So, to get access to the resources of Unacademy, all you need to do is get a subscription and then access live and recorded courses which are offered by the best educators all over. So let me see both the type of subscriptions available for these students, the iconic subscription as well as the plus subscription. In the iconic subscription, you get an opportunity to learn with the personal mentor. Okay. So with a personal mentor, you get a one-to-one guidance from the top experts. These top experts would be acting as your personal mentor. He or she would help you to align learning strategy and resolve all your academic concerns. There is a parent connect wherein there are regular open hours for the parents to discuss the board's performance report with the concerned mentor, wherein the parents would be receiving a progress report or weekly, which would be illustrating the weekly performance of his or her daughter. Now, apart from these two, there is a live doubt solution session. In such classes, it would help the students to solve their subject doubts and get a customized study plan to track the progress. Now, all the features of iconic subscription, once you take an iconic subscription, you get all these features plus the bonus of the plus subscription features also. Okay. So, if you're availing for the CBSE Class 12 iconic subscription, the subscription fee starts with 2,333 per month. Now, moving on to the features of plus subscription, you get access to the daily live class wherein you get an opportunity to chat with the educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, and answer via post. Now, all the facility while the live class is on. All the courses offered here are well structured and in line with the current examination syllabus. So, these features would help you to prepare for the forthcoming examination. There are live tests and quizzes. Now, this would help you to evaluate your preparation, okay, and also get a detailed analysis of how well you're getting yourself prepared for the forthcoming. Now, to enjoy the resources of Unacademy, all you need to do is get a subscription. So, once you take a subscription, you get unlimited access to all the live as well as recorded versions of the classes. Now, which can be viewed at the watched or viewed at the comfort of your time as well as your devices. Okay. So, you needn't worry if you miss out a live session, you get opportunity same in the recorded format also. Okay. Now, to get the CBSE Class 12 Plus subscription, the amount starts from 1,250 per month. So, this is how the live sessions or the forthcoming or the recorded sessions would look like. Just a second. So, there would be a red button indicator indicating when which lecture is going on live and which are the ones that are either the recorded ones or the forthcoming ones. So once you have the Unacademy learning app installed in your smartphones, you get messages, alert messages prior to the start of the class so that you do not miss the classes. Okay. Now this is a look and feel of how the comprehensive syllabus for the CBSE Class 12 would look like. You would have the different subjects and underneath each of the subject would courses that are being offered by the best educators all over India. Now you can view the courses based on your requirement and the like, okay, and then have a watch at classes at the comfort of your time as well as the comfort of this. So this is the Unacademy learning app that you need to download and install in your smartphone. Okay. Once you have downloaded and installed in your smartphones, you need to select the goal. Okay. So you being the CBSE class 12 students, your goal would be CBSE class 12. And once your goal is selected, you would be redirected to which is the type of subscription that you would like to take, and then later on to the fee section. Okay. Now, apart from that, yes, good evening, Ritik. Welcome to Let's Crack CBSE Science. Now, apart from the app, there is a Telegram channel too. All you need to do is see the link here, Quest 12 CBSE Commerce. You should have the Telegram app installed in your smartphones, and then you need to type the link in the URL as shown in the figure and the channel wherein you get the updates posted by Unacademy and also its educators. Okay. Now, as I told you, once you have installed the app, the smart. Now, it is not only via the smartphones, you can even access it through your desktop systems also. All you need to do is go to the site and then have it registered using your mobile number and a valid email ID. And then you can access the courses there. Okay. Now, if you're wishing to take the subscription, once you have taken the goal, you would be redirected to either the plus subscription or iconic subscription. Now, based on your choice. Now, once you have selected the type of subscription that you would like to take, you would be redirected to the subscription fee page. Now, this is the detailed description about in the tabular form. It shows the subscription fee with respect to the plus subscription. Okay. Now, the table consists of three different plans ranging from a 3-month subscription to a full year subscription. Okay. And across each plan is listed the subscription fee. For a 3-month subscription, it would cost you around 6,500. And if you're moving on to a 1-year subscription, the subscription fee would be around 50,000. But if you apply my promo code SLYT, I repeat, if you use my promo code SLYT, you get a 10% reduction on the Unacademy subscription fee. That is, the 3-month subscription get reduced to 5,850. Now, similarly, in all the below plans, you can see that there will be a 10% of discount or fee waiving on applying this referral code. Okay. So, if you are a class 12 student, I would suggest you do not hesitate and take up a full year subscription so that it not only helps you for the forthcoming board examination but also for the forthcoming entrance examination. Now, these are the fee details with respect to iconic subscription, okay, wherein you have two different plans, half year plan as well as the full year plan. Now, the half-year plan for the iconic subscription would have a subscription fee of 17,000 and a full-year subscription 28,000. Now, here again, you have the attractive offer on applying the referral code SLYT. Okay, you get a 10% of discount of fee waivering. That is, the 6-month plan would cost you 15,300 and a full year subscription would have a subscription fee of only 25,200. Okay. So these are the details with respect to the subscription fee. Second. So that's all about Unacademy and about. So moving on to the agenda of the day. As you all know, we have been dealing with CBSE Class 12 Science, and today we'll be learning about the concept of binary. So according to the syllabus, we have learned the text files, and in the last class we learned about CSV files. And today we'll be looking into the next category, which is the binary. Okay. So these are the contents that we'll be covering in today's lesson. We'll be looking into the definition of binary files, okay, about the process pickling and unpickling, okay, about the two methods dump and load, which are used for writing as well as reading from the binary files, and the various file operations that could be performed with respect to the binary file. And finally, to close down the topic, we'll have a small comparison between the text files as well as the binary files. Yes, very good evening. Welcome to us. So today we are looking into the binary files, and these are the contents that we'll be discussing in today's class. Okay, so let's begin. So starting with the definition. Now, any file that is a computer file and not a text file can be considered as a binary file. Okay, so a binary file is a computer file. Now, what does it mean? A computer file meaning a file which is understandable by the machine, right? Now, if it has to be understandable by the machine, that means what would be the language that the machine understands? Definitely language of electricity, right? In that case, you would have on and off state. And imagine that these two states are represented by two different symbols. Say, for example, 0 and 1 corresponding to off and on state, and such representation is called as binary. Okay, is the idea clear with respect to binary? Yes, Nishada, very good evening and welcome to the class. So as I told you, we are talking about the concept of binary. So when things are in the format of a language or in the format which is easily understandable by machine, we call that format as binary. Okay. So we are talking about files here, and then the content of the file would be in which format? Would be in a format which is easily understandable by the machine. So one thing that we need to understand is it is not a text file. So since it is not a text file, what would it be? It wouldn't be in a format that is easily understandable by a human being. See, when we were talking about CSV files as well as text files, everything the contents of the file were in the format of strings, right? But it was human readable as well as understandable. But in the case of a binary file, everything would be represented in the binary format and easily understandable by the machine. So in that case, it is not of a form which is human. So most of the files in the computer system comes under the category of. Now I have listed a few examples here. I mean, rather than looking into the examples, I am sure most of you would be more familiar with the extensions that are being shown here. See the image files with the extension .jpg. It is a JPEG file or a GIF. Okay. Now the video files, audio files, executable files, as well as the archive. Now all these files are stored in the system in the format of. Yes, Devika, very good evening and welcome to the class. Okay, so all these are examples of binary. Now, let me just take a small example from the category. Let us talk about image file. Okay, when you're talking about an image that is to be displayed on your screen. Okay, so see the entire screen. The screen is made up of pixels or picture elements, right? Now, each of these picture element has an intensity value which decides whether it has to be bright or whether it has to be dull. Now, each of the pixels value would be stored in the format of. Now, imagine how many pixels would be making an entire image. So that means you need to save or you need to have the information about the entire pixels on the screen that would make up the picture, right? So in such a case, when you have to store such a large amount of information, usually the system takes the format of binary files wherein the entire information could be stored easily as well as in a form understandable by the. Okay. Now, easily, what exactly is the meaning of the word easily? Easily in the sense, since it is formed, stored in the format understandable by a machine. No translation is needed, right? If you're storing something in a human understandable form to get executed, you need to convert the same thing into a machine language, and only then can it be executed, isn't it? But when you're talking about binary files, it itself is in a form which is understandable by the machine. In that case, a conversion is not needed, and hence it is more easy and fast working with the binary. Okay. Now let's get to have a look at the different features about the files. All the binary files are encoded in the binary form. So binary form meaning it is not human understandable and can be easily understood only by the computer. Okay? So there is no delimiter at the end of the line for the binary. This is one of the feature that you need to understand. See, when we learned about the text files, we learned that there is a delimiter to indicate the end of the line, right? How was the end of the line represented? Using the EOL character, right? But when you're talking about a binary file, it is just like a series of zeros and ones which are being stored in the file, right? So it can be considered as a byte series of binary digits which forms the streams of bytes. Okay, so it is considered as a byte stream. And in this case, there is no delimiter associated with the end of line. Now, we already discussed in the definition that binary files are easy and fast working as they do not require any translation. Since no translation is required, they are fast working as well as easy. Okay, so we have learned the definition as well as the features. Now we get to learn about how to write to a binary or read the contents of a binary. Now, before moving into the file operations, we need to understand the names or processes of doing it, namely pickling as well as unpick. Okay, so what are the different things that we are going to learn? The process of pickling and unpicking. Now, the figure itself is a very good illustration of what the entire process is all about. Pickling refers to the process of conversion. Okay, so what sort of conversion? Converting the structure such as a list into a byte stream before writing to a file. Okay, so the contents to be written onto the file would be stored in a sequence in Python. Yes, Iona, very good evening and welcome to Let's Crack Science. Today we are learning about files. We just had two slides with respect to the definition as well as the features. And now that we are looking into the process of pickling. So from the figure, please understand the figure. The pickling is a process wherein you take as input the structure. Structure is nothing but the sequence like a list, dictionary, tuple, or a string, or a set. Okay. Now this is getting converted to bytes. Okay. Now, when was this term associated, or where did we actually refer this term? Byte stream before writing to a file, right? So before writing to a file means it has to be converted into a binary format and then written on the file. So the input feed is in the format of a structure wherein the data are either stored in a list or a dictionary or any type of Python. and then the conversion happens, and then it is being written to a file. So this exactly is a process of pickling. Now, pickling happens before writing the contents onto a binary. So if you're attempting to read the contents of the binary file, what would be the operation? The reverse of what you have right now learned. What is that? It is the unpickling. So it is a reverse process which is used to convert the byte stream back to the original structure. See, the byte stream is not anything that is understandable by the human being, right? So when it has to be read and printed onto this, it has to be converted to the human understandable form. That means the byte stream are converted by a process called as unpickling, the format in which it was fed, the input feed was done, right? So that means the structure. So this is done while reading the contents of the. So if unpickling is a process associated with reading the contents of a file, pickling is a process associated with writing onto the file. So all the operations, that is reading and writing operations with respect to the binary files, are defined inside a module in Python which is called as the pickle module. Okay? The pickle module, though I have written it like this, it is the name of the module is all in smaller case letters, and you need to be very careful with the case as Python is case sensitive. Okay? So pickling and unpickling is done using the pickle module in Python, and it is this pickle module that has the various methods defined for performing the reading as well as the writing operations. See here, two main methods are being used for the purpose. For which all purpose? For reading as well as for writing. The name of the methods are dump and load. Okay, dump and load, all in the case letters. Now, so let's understand the syntax and then the explanation of each of the methods here. So, we learned what exactly is the process of picking as well as unpicking, and then we also learned that pickling, using the process of pickling, you write onto the file, and using the process of unpickling, the contents of the file, right? So for writing onto the file, you use the method dump. What is it? The name of the method is dump, all in smaller case letters. Now this method is used to write the object file which is opened in binary. So understand this. So whenever we are going to write onto a file, okay, so which is the mode in which the file is going to be opened? File has to be accessed. The access mode can be write, print, or any of the plus versions of the tree. Okay. So let's understand the syntax. Now, since this is a method, uh, how do you use it? You use it with the module name, right? So how would the usage be? The module name dot the method name, right? What is the name of your module? Pickle, and dot the name of the method is dump. But there are two parameters associated with the dump method, and which are the two parameters? The structure followed by the file. Okay. So the structure is any sequence of Python. As we had already told, it can be a list, dictionary, example, a set. And then the file object or the file handle. The structure is followed by the file object or the file handle in which you are attempting to write. So the very first thing that you need to do is importing the pickle. Okay. Only after the pickle module is imported can you access or invoke the method dump as well as load. See, when we were learning the CSV files, we learned that everything with respect to all the operations with respect to the files were defined in the CSV module, right? So, which was the very first thing that you had to do prior to doing any operation on the CSV file. importing the CSV module, isn't it? So similarly, when you're attempting to do the binary file operation, the first thing you need to import the pickle module, then followed by method. Okay. So next is pickle dot load. Okay. Now, what would this be used for? This is used for reading the contents of the binary file. Okay. So pickle.load is a method which is used to read the data from the binary file. Now see the syntax. Have structure is equal to pickle.load of file. Okay. So you are attempting to do the reading operation on from the file that is pointed by the file object or the file handle. Okay. Now whatever contents that you are reading, it is it is the job of the load method which does the conversion so that it would be converted to a human understandable form. So that particular sequence would be stored in the variable that is being written on the left hand side. So what is actually happening? An assignment is happening. The contents that is being read from the file is actually saved or assigned to the sequence variable structure. Is the idea clear? See, how did we do the dump method? Inside the dump method, you had passed as arguments both the structure as well as the file object. So the structure was converted to the binary format and then written onto the file, which was pointed by the file object. When you're talking about the load method, what happened? You are attempting to do the operation. So wherever the file object is or the handle is pointing to, the contents of that particular file is read and stored onto the structure. Okay. So now let us learn working of dump as well as the load method using a sample program. Now see here, this is a program which would write a list for binary file. So the sequence that is being used here is a list. So currently the program is, the writing onto the file is written inside a user defined function, and see the name of the user defined function bin underscore create. Okay. Now what is the primary thing that you need to do? You're going to work with the binary file. So definitely the pickle module has to be imported, right? So import pickle. Okay. And then the content that I am trying to write onto the file is a list. See, it is stored, the sequence of numbers are being stored in the variable name or the list name list1. So it is this content that I am attempting to write onto my file. Now what I have to do, I have to open my binary file. Okay. Now see, the name of my binary file is list, and see the extension, it is dot, indicating it is a data file. Okay. So the binary files usually take the extension .dat. When we learned CSV files, the extension was .csv, and when we were talking about the text files, usually the extensions were .txt, right? So similarly, for the binary files, the extension is .d, and the binary file list has to be opened in the write mode. Why? Because you are attempting to do the write operation. Now see here, is it just enough to write W for the mode of opening? No, we are attempting to do the binary files, right? So it has to be opened in the binary access mode. Now what is the binary access mode? How is it represented? By postfixing the small letter B along with your mode. Okay. Now currently I am attempting to open my file in the mode, and so I have my mode of opening is WP since it is a okay. Now I have opened the file. I have imported the pickle module. I have defined my list also. Now what is the next thing? I have to do the writing operation. Now, how can the writing be done? Using the dump method, right? Now, where is the dump method defined in your pickle module? How do you invoke the method? The module name dot the function. So it is like pickle.dump. Now, in the syntax, we learned that there are two arguments to be passed inside the dump method, which were they? The first one being the name of your structure, and the second one was the file object, right? So see here, I am first passing the name of my structure followed by the file object. So what will happen? Pickle.dump, it has been defined for doing the writing operation. So where would it be writing? Writing onto the file pointed by your file object f. So which is the file that is pointed by the file object f? List.d, right? Now what are you trying to write onto the contents of list 1? Okay. Now after that I have given a print message stating I have done with my information is added to the binary file. So this message would be. Now, is there anything that I'm trying to do again? No, since I have opened the file using the open method, definitely I need to close it also. How do you close it? Use the close method and the file handle. So f dot. Now, to invoke or to execute the user defined function, you would, you have to call the function, right? How do you call it? Without the def keyword and just the function in underscore create. So what will happen? It would invoke this user defined function and the enter operation. And you would have an output on the screen. What would be the output on the screen? See, this print message would come as the output on the information added to the binary. See, but if you're trying to attempting to open the binary file and see, it is not in the human understanding. You can open the binary file in the Python text editor as well as in the notepad. But if you're trying to open it in the notepad, it is not in a human understandable form. But if you're attempting to open it in the Python text editor, what happens is an error would be. So this would be the output. Output in the sense, output that would be printed on your screen. Okay. See, when you try to open a binary file that we have just used in our previous program, in the Python editor, we to see the content, Python actually generates a decoding error. Okay, but if you're trying to open it in the notepad, it actually opens and shows you the content. The only problem is the content is not in an understandable form. That is the only difference. Okay, so it is not that you cannot see the contents of a binary. So we have illustrated a program to understand how the writing operation could be done on binary, right? Now that we are going to learn how to read from a binary. So here again, I have done a user-defined function bin underscore read underscore file. So it is using this function that I am attempting to be reading from binary file. Okay. Now, how can the read operation be performed using which method? Using the method load. Okay. And where is it defined? It is defined in the pickle module. So I have written the user defined function using the def keyword, and see after that the colon, it is terminating the colon to indicate the function definition is going to. So what is the first thing that you need to do? Since you are going to work with binary files, you need to import the pickle module, right? So import the pickle module. Now you are attempting to read from the binary file. So you need to open the binary file first using the open function. So the name of the binary file followed by the mode. This is a type of file operation. We are going to perform the read operation. So what should be the mode in which it has to be opened? RB. indicating the binary file. Okay, so RB, where B is postfix to the usual, access mode of a text file. This is the binary access mode, RB. Now I have opened the file in the mode and see the file handle is F. Now, what am I trying to do? I want to read the contents of the file. So that means the process of unpickling has to happen here. How will it happen? Definitely using your load method, right? So pickle.load of F. Syntax says you need to pass an argument to the load method, and what is the preferable argument? The file handle, right? So pickle.load of F. Now, whatever that the load method is attempting to read from the binary file, which is pointed by the file handle, that would be it is actually in which form? In the byte string, right? So it has to be converted to a human understandable form. So this is the conversion is done and then stored onto the structure. So the contents are now assigned to the variable list1. Okay. Now, since you attempted to write a list onto the file in the previous example, so definitely what would be list 1 containing? A list of, right? So you can print the list on the, and since you have opened the file using function, definitely close it using the close method. How do you close it? The file handle dot. Now, is it just enough that you keep writing a user-defined function? It has to be invoked by the main function, right? Or the method. So, when underscore file. This is how I see. Okay. So, what would happen once this is invoked? The reading operation or the reading file operation from the binary file here be done. So I hope the reading operation is also clear. So what would be the output of this file? You would have this print message printed on the screen. The content of the binary file is, and in the next line, you would have the list also printed on. So this would be the. So I hope you could follow with how this was very simple programs to understand the load as well as the method dump, and how it is working with the binary files. Now that we're going to attempt reading and the writing operation. Now it is not just a list that I'm trying to write or read, but I'm attempting to write a dictionary. So the first and primary thing that you need to do definitely is importing your module. Which module? The pickle module, isn't it? So once this module is imported, now I have written the write operation in the user-defined function pickWrite, and reading from the binary file in user-defined. So what would happen? The execution starts from this point, right? Not pickWrite. Okay. So what would happen? The control gets transferred here. The point at where, the point where your user-defined function pickWrite is defined. So see what is being written in the pickWrite. You have opened a binary file. Now be careful with the extension binary file 1.b, and it is being opened in which mode? In the write mode. Okay, so W, since you are attempting to write to a file. Now, all those things that we have learned with the text file access file opening modes follows here also. Okay, so if you are opening the file in WB or in the write mode, what happens? Actually, the previous contents would be lost and it would look like as if you are opening a fresh file. So the same condition happens here also. So F is equal to open of binary file 1.b. Okay. And now I am defining the list as well as a dictionary that I am attempting to write on file. If you want, you can write it like this, or if you want, you can have you prompt the values from the user, create the sequence, and then you can dump it on the binary. So either way, whichever is convenient, I have chosen the most easiest way. So there are two contents here. You have a list as well as a dictionary. And now that you are attempting to write it on file, which file? The binary file one. Now, how do you write a content onto a binary file? Using the dump method, right? So pickle.dump. This is how you invoke the method. So pickle.dump, and inside the dump method, you would pass the structure as well as the file object. So you have two things to be dumped. One is the list, followed by the next one, your dictionary. Now, once everything is written onto the file, you would close it. Okay. Now, since pick write was invoked, what happened? The control got transferred to the point at which it was defined. Whatever was written in the function body got executed. So, what was done here? Actually, the list and the dictionary was written onto the binary file name. Now the control gets returned back and it would reside here. Now what is here? The statement is again a function call. User defined function. So this is pick read. So when you try to call this function, what happens? Again, the control gets transferred to the point at which it is defined. So where is pick read defined? Here. Now, what is this function defined for? For reading the contents of the file. Now, what is the file in which you have created? Binary file.dat, right? So it was opened in the write mode and then contents were written. Now that you are attempting to read the contents of the files, which is a mode in which you definitely read mode, isn't it? So RB. Okay. So this is your file handle. Now for doing the reading operation, which is the method that you would use the load method, which was defined inside your pickle module. Okay. So pickle dot load of f. Okay. So what is that you pass as parameter? Definitely file handle or the file object. The file handle or the file object of your binary file. So this would be passed as the argument. Now, the first thing that you have written onto the file was the list, right? So when you are reading the contents, definitely the first thing that the structure that would be returned is a list. So LST would have the contents of the list and D would have the contents of your dictionary. So how many dump you have done? That many number of load also you do. Okay. Now, I've read the contents and saved, assigned it to the variables LST as well as D. Now, what do you have to do? You need to print that on the screen. Okay. So, for that, you use the statement. And once the result has been printed on the screen, you can fire. So, this is how you can write entire program. Okay. We just learned it in chunks and pieces, wherein we're attempting to do write operation. We learned this program. Later then learned how to read the contents. Again, we learned a small code. Now here is your entire program, which is illustrating both the reading as well as writing onto the body. Just a second. So yes, this is how the output look like. LST, the condenser list that you have written, and followed by end of your. The next that we are going to learn and binary. So when you have apart from the reading and the writing, certain other operations could also be performed on the binary file, like inserting or appending a record in a binary file, reading the records from a binary file, searching a particular record in a binary, updating a particular record in a. Now, all these operations could be performed in the binary. Are they? You're attempting to insert a new record, append. This can be understood like you are opening a fresh binary file and then attempting to do the write operation, or if you are already having a binary file and then you are adding a new record to the tail end of your existing binary file. Okay. So either way, the same operation could be done. Now, if you have a binary file already existing with some contents on it, now you can attempt to do the reading operation, and then suppose you want to search a particular record. Imagine that the binary file is consisting of different student records of a particular school. Okay. So in that case, you are searching for a particular student in the binary file. So such operations can be written, can be identified underneath this searching. And suppose you need to update certain marks. Okay. Imagine that you have written an improvement examination and improve the marks of a certain subject. So in that case, that particular subject's marks has to be updated, changed, right? So in that case, we use the updating record. Okay. So these are the different file operations permissible on the binary files. Yes, mother. Very good evening. Welcome to class. Now, to better understand the different file operations, now let us understand this using sample program. Okay. So the first operation that we are attempting to do is inserting or appending a record in a binary file. For the time being, the program that I have written just now is actually attempting to insert a record. Okay. Now, but that I have opened the file in the write mode, WB mode. So what would happen is it would open the file as if it is opening a very fresh file. Okay. So even if there is a file existing with the same name, what happens is the contents would be truncated or it would be erased, and it is like you are overwriting the new contents onto the file. So what are we going to work with? We are going to work with binary files. So what is the first thing that you have to do? Definitely importing which module? Pickle module, right? So import the pickle module. Okay. Now I have created an empty list. So this is the nested list that I would be creating. And it is this particular nested list that I am going to attempt to write onto my binary file. Is the idea clear? So for this purpose, I have created the list as an empty list right now. Now, how am I going to create the record? Definitely by prompting from the user and then having the contents read from the keyboard. Okay. Now, in all the previous examples that we were discussing, we already had the data defined in our program, and it was this particular data that we were attempting to write onto the binary file, isn't it? Now that, see here, we have illustrated using, you are reading the contents from the user and this particular contents are being the binary. So you are trying to create a student record here. Okay, see here, the name of the binary file is student. Now, if in the question, if the name is already given, because you have to use that particular name. Okay, and you are not supposed to use any name according to what is. So before moving on to the opening of the file, see, inside the loop, I have read the values of roll number followed by the name, the mark. Okay, all these things would be read and stored onto the variable respectively, roll, name, and okay. So I hope all the three statements are clear to you. Now that this is going to be a record of a particular student, isn't it? So I have created a list. The contents of the list are in the order roll, comma, name, comma, marks. Now this list is going to be assigned the idea clear? So the details of a particular student or details corresponds to a student record. Okay. Now that I have an empty list here, I am trying to append. What happens? St record dot append of d. So this is how you use the append method. Okay, so whichever is the content that you need to append, that would be passed as the argument, and the object, the list would be the nested list. The idea clear? Now, this is the details. I mean, this is how you read the record of one particular student. Now, if you have to enter multiple records, definitely the choice has to be read from the, okay. And the question is like, you wish to enter more records. So if multiple records has to be entered, the user would be entering Y. And if at all the user enters N, what would happen? You have written to break from the loop. Okay. So what would happen? You are done with entering the student records and then you are using the break statement to exit from the, okay. So as long as your choice is Y, that means the condition is true and the loop would be executed for creating the couple of records. And each time a record is created, saved to the details, and this detail record would be appended on your ST record and thus creating a nested. The idea clear? Now I use choice.append. Okay, so there can be, you can either enter small letter N or capital letter N, right? That whatever you have entered would be stored in the variable choice. Now this is getting converted to your uppercase and now I am doing the checking. You can either do it like this or you can write choice in small n and capital, okay? Or you can write choice is equal to then, or you can use the logical or operator. Okay. Either way that prefer to. I hope I am audible. Fine. Okay. So what have you right now done? Have read all the contents from the, you have created student record. Okay. Now you're done with creation of the student records. Now what is supposed to be done? You have to enter the student records on the, I mean, write the student records on your binary file name, right? So first you would open the file. What is the name of your file? Student.db, and you are attempting to write, okay? So which is a mode in which you are trying to open W. Now suppose that you are trying to append onto the file. So that means student.dat has to be a file which is already existing and then it would be opened in RB plus. Okay. So whatever the contents are there, to the tail end of it, you would be dumping your new records that you have attempted to prompted from the user and then read from. This is the only difference. Okay. Now that I am trying to create the file and then do the operation. So this is the reason why I have W. Is the idea clear? If you're trying to append onto an existing file. In that case, binary access mode can be now that you have opened the file, what have you to do? You have to write, okay, the operation of pickling. The pickling is done using the method dump. And yes, good evening, people, and welcome to the class. So pickle.dump, and then as per the syntax, the first parameter is your structure, then followed by the file object. Right. Now what is the structure? st record, and then you have the file object, which what would happen? The nested list, the entire nested list would be copied, would be written onto your file. Which file? The binary file student.d. Now, once this is done, I have written a print message to show that the record is added. Okay, and after that, the file gets closed. So, whatever record that you are reading through the keyboard would be written on what? Now, as I told you, now the same program can be used for either inserting and as well as for appending. Now, right now we have written the program for inserting on a record onto a binary. Now, suppose that you have to do the appending operation. How do you do it? It is the assumption that the student.dat is already existing, and then you just need to be careful with the file mode in which you are trying to open. It has to be plus. So this is the only difference. So I hope appending operation is also clear to you. So shall we move on to the next one? So the next program to read a record from the binary file student. Okay, just a second. So what is the next file operation that we are attempting to do on the binary file? Reading a particular record from the binary file named student. Okay. Now this particular operation we already discussed how to do the reading as a very small code fragment earlier in the beginning of this slide, wherein we learned about how the load and dump methods work. Okay. Now let us see the entire program. But here I am not just trying to load. I'm not trying to load a list of or a dictionary. Okay, it is an entire student record that I am trying to read from the binary file. So reading a record means you would have to read all the contents, right, associated with a student. Now, what are the contents of the record? It would have the roll number, name, as well as the marks. Now, let's get to learning how to read the contents of the binary file. So, the primary thing that you need to do is importing the pickle module, right? So, how do you write it? Import pickle. Now, after importing the pickle module, what is the next thing that you need to do? You need to open your binary file. So, student.at, and which is the binary access mode that you are trying to open? RB. Why? Because you are attempting to do the reading operation. No other extra operations or writing operation is to be performed. So, in that case, the mode that you would be using is RB and not RB. So I have opened my file, and what is F? F is the file handle or the file object, isn't it? Now, what is the first thing that I have to do? I have to read the file, right? So reading meaning the unpickling operation or the process has to be done. It is done with the help of which method? load method, and this particular load method, where is it defined? It is defined in our pickle module. Now, since the pickle module has been inputted, how do you invoke the method? Pickle.load, isn't it? Now, as per the syntax, you need to pass an argument to the load method, and what was that? Your file handle or your file object. Okay. So whatever is attempting to be read from the file, actually, as I told you, the contents are in the computer understandable form, or as you call it as byte stream. It has to be converted to human understandable form. That is the actual operation being performed by our method load. Okay. Now, after reading the contents, it would be saved on variable, signed onto the variable stud underscore rec. Okay. So these student records. So actually, what would be stud underscore rec? It would be a nested list, isn't it? So in one go, the entire content of your file is read, and it would be stored in stud underscore. Your nested list means your list would look like, it would be like you would have one the name RB followed by say 100 F comma 90. Okay. Imagine, so this is how your student underscore REC. Now that, see the contents of student.rec, each of the content is a list. The list meaning it is a student record, isn't it? Now, inside the list, you would have the roll number, name, followed by the. Now, see how I'm trying to print it on the screen. Now, what I'm trying to do is, I am going to dissect each of the student record. Dissecting means dividing it into portions. So, when I'm trying to divide it, I would take the roll number, I would take the name as well as the marks. Okay. So, I would run an iterable. See here, for I in student underscore. So, what would I take up? I would take up the first index. Okay. At the 0th index of stud underscore rec, you would have the first record, isn't it? First record meaning the first student record. Okay. So in the student record, now imagine that this is your first student record I have written. Okay. Now in this particular list, so this is in the forward indexing. This is your 0 index followed by index 1 and then 2. So at the 0th index, what would be there? You would have the roll number, isn't it? At index 1, you would have the, and at index 2, you would have the marks. Is this idea clear? So what would I do? I have the loop variable I, and when I am writing I of 0, what does it indicate? Value at the 0th index in your list I. The idea clear? So what is the content? 1. So this would be assigned to your variable row. Similar things would be happening in the following statements. Okay. Now after that I have assigned the role, name and marks of the first, any student, okay, to variables. I would print it on. So each student record is taken and the contents are being printed on. After that, this loop would continue as long as you have a record or you have a content in the nested list stud underscore. The idea clear? So this is how the entire contents of your student record be read. Okay. So we had looked into the reading operation or the load method in the beginning of the slides also. But therein we learned a very small program wherein we defined the data. For writing as well as for reading, the entire thing was defined inside the program. Now here is a program wherein you are dissecting the contents and then you are displaying it on the screen. So I hope this is also easy and understandable. So shall we move on to the next program? as I see no more doubts. Okay then, so let's get to learning our next one. So what is the next program? The program to search a record from a binary file. Now here again a binary file is student file. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to search a particular record. Now, do you think you can search when we say we search a record, but how exactly does the searching happens? You either search a record using some of the contents of your record, either the roll number or the name or the marks. Usually, marks are not important because these are not unique values, isn't it? You may have same marks for more than one student. So usually you would be taking some unique value with which you can identify a record. In this case, I would say definitely the roll number. Okay. So the roll number of each student would be unique, right? Even you people know when in your school as well as for writing for the board examination, have a unique register number or unique roll number associated with each one of, isn't it? So let's see how to perform the searching operation in binary file and see you are attempting to search a particular record. Okay. So again, we are working with binary files. So blindfoldedly, what you have to do, you have to import which module? Pickle module. So I write import pickle followed by opening of the binary file. The name of your binary file is student.b. Okay. Now this is going to be opened in the which mode? RB. Right? You're trying to search a record. Are you attempting to write something onto the binary file? No, right? You just have to read the contents and then the checking operation or the searching operation, isn't it? So definitely the mode in which the file is going to be opened is the binary access mode, binary access read mode. Okay, so RB and F is going to be F. Now you are going to read the contents of the file. That means unpickling, using which method? Using the method load, and this load is defined in the pickle module. So how do you invoke it? Pickle.load. Okay, pickle.load of F. What is it? F is the argument that is being passed, which is the file handle. Now, the entire contents of your file would be read, converted to the human understandable form, and then assigned to the variables underscore REC, where stud underscore REC. So each of these record is going to be test. Now, we'll come back to flag later. Now, you have to read roll number that you are trying to search inside your binary. That means which particular record are you trying to search? I told you I'm going to use roll number here because the only fields corresponding to each of the student record are definitely the roll number, name, followed by the marks, right? So among the three values, we find that roll number is something very unique. So this is the value with which I am going to do search operation. So the roll number that the user has currently set is going to be saved in your oh, okay. Now for R in stud underscore R. Now what is stud underscore REC? It is going to be a nested list, right? So R, what would it do? R would attempt to take each of the value inside your nested list. So each of the value meaning each of your student record. Now, the roll number is the first value that is appearing in your student record, right? So, R would have, okay, so R of 0 indicating the roll number. So, what you need to do is write an if conditional and check each time whether RNO is equal to the value first index of your student record. Okay, so this is how we check it. R of 0 is equal to E. Now, if we find a matching, that means you have actually found your record, isn't it? So if a matching happens, you have found the record. So you would have a print message stating that your search is successful. Print the entire record. Now, when I'm giving print R, what would happen? This entire record would be printed and not just the. Since you have found out the contents of the entire student record would be printed. Green. Now, after that, I can break. Okay. Now, see here, in this program, I have not explained the concept of flag here. Now, leaving that aside, in this entire program, we have a print message only for the condition if you find a matching roll number. Or, in short, if you find the correct record that you have been hunting for, isn't it? Now, there will be a case, or there can be a case wherein the attempt of search goes failed. I mean, the case where you have not found out the particular student. In that case, definitely another message also has to be printed. Right. So, for this reason, I have used a variable flag. Okay. And prior to entering inside the loop or starting the iterable, I have assigned the value of flag to. Now, what would happen? Whenever the if conditional goes true, before changing the value of flag or assigning the value of flag, whenever the conditional goes true, what happens is I change the value of flag and then the break state. So that means flag was priorly 0 and the value of flag will change only when you have found out the idea clear? The value of attempting to change the value of flag, when does it happen? Only when you find out a particular record, isn't it? So whenever the roll number matching happens. Now that when you are breaking, you come out of the loop, isn't it? Just a second. Okay, so when you are coming out of the loop, you can go check for the value of the flag. What if the value of flag is still 0? That means it has not been changed. Why has it not changed? That means the record was never found. If the value of flag is still 0, we write that the record is not. The print message stating the record is not. But if the flag value is equal to 1, so that means the search was successful and you actually found out the record. Now, in that case, we have actually. Okay. So I hope the the program to do the searching operation in the binary file is clear to you. This is, here we have attempted to do the linear search. Okay, what did we do? We were searching in a linear fashion, one after the other, right? And once the search was successful, we exited from the loop. So definitely this method is a linear search. The program is a example for linear search. Okay. So I hope this is also clear to you, the searching operation. So just a second, take a. Then moving on to our next one. So now that we're going to learn how to update the content. So what are the different operations? We learned how to write onto a binary file. We learned how to read from a binary. Then have learned how to search a particular record. And now that we're going to see how to update. So how do you do it? Updation means you have to change some value. Some modification has to be done inside the record. Okay. So that means attempting to do some sort of writing operation. But to update a record, there will be some criteria. That means you would have to update the record of this particular student, or you have to update the record with this particular roll number. So this is how you would be saying, right? So in that case, you need to read which is the value that you are, which is the value based on which you are finding the record. So in short, you would be doing a searching operation, find the particular record, and then do the updation or modification or change in value, isn't it? See, doing the searching operation means it is actually reading the contents and then finding. After doing the reading operation, then you attempt to do the modification. So when you're performing the updation, see the access mode in which you're trying to open the file RB plus. So it is not only reading but also we are attempting to writing up. So first and primary thing is importing your pickle. How do you do it? Import pickle. Fine. Then you open your binary file. What is a binary file? Student.db. Now, which is a mode in which you are going to plus. And F is your file hand. Now I'm going to run space by true. POS is F.tell. What is F? F is your file handle. What is tell? Okay. So here, actually, you need to learn two functions which are used for a random access file. Okay. All the reading and writing options when you're doing, it actually performs things sequentially. So from the beginning till the end. So there are certain methods which would help you to have a random access or in a particular position inside the file. So for that random access, the methods used are tell and seek. The idea clear? What are the methods used? The methods used are tell as well as seek. The methods used are tell and seek. And how is it invoked? It is invoked using your file, okay, file handle or file object dot the file object or file handle dot. Now what does tell do? Tell means telling something, right? So what exactly are you being told? You are told the current position, the file pointer inside your file. So wherever you might be doing so many of reading and writing options. In the case of your binary file, in that case, the file pointer can be anywhere. Now, in this case, since you are trying to open the file in the RB plus mode, I can understand that every time your file pointer is definitely going to be at your very first position. Okay. But I've just illustrated this to make you understand the random access method. It is not mandatory since I am writing it as a fresh program, and in that case you needn't actually find the current position and then do it. Okay. But just to illustrate it, so I have found out the current file pointer position and assigned it to the variable s. The second. Okay. Fine. So, and now what I have to do, I have to searching operation. Now, how can the searching be done? The searching can be done by reading the entire contents of your file using the load method, right? So, pickle.load of f. What would happen? F is your file object. So, f is being passed as argument to the load method. So, the entire content of your file would be coming underscore rec. So this is going to be a nested list. And now that you are attempting to do the linear search. Now how to perform the linear search based on the So you're reading RNO from the, RNO, the roll number which that you are going to search. Now this will be read and stored in RNO. And now what would we do? Would take each of the record inside your nested list. Okay. So what you're starting an iterable. So the for loop. Now R instead underscore REC. Each time the loop iterates, R is taking each of the student record, isn't it? Just a second. Okay. So, so what would happen for R instead underscore REC? R would be taking each of these student record, right, in your file. Now, inside the loop, I have to check whether I have reached this particular, isn't it? How do I do the checking? I write an if conditional and then I check if the roll number that has been inputted by the user equal to the first element inside. Now, the first element means the element at the index value 0 of your record R. Now, what would be at the index value 0? The roll number, isn't it? So, this particular roll number and RNO are the. Now, if they are equal, now you have arrived at the record, isn't it? You have searched and found out the record. Now, what are you trying to update? You are just trying to update the name of this. So, to understand that the change has happened, you are simply printing the current. It is at position 1. Okay. And now you would read a new name from the and this particular name would be written where R of 1. The idea clear? Now what would I do? I would move my file pointer to the position POS. Now what is POS? POS was the position that was read using the tell method and then store. Okay. Now at this particular position, what would I do? I would dump the dumping means I would attempt to write it to my binary file. So how is the writing done? Writing using the dump method. The pickle.dump of your student record, comma the file. Okay. Now ultimately what would you do? You would just have a print statement to show that the name has been updated and then bring. So this is how you do the updation in a binary file. Now apart from this, there are other operations also wherein you can delete a particular record. Okay. Now that we learned about updation of just a value, if you want, you can find a particular record and then update all the contents, not only the name, the roll number, the name, as well as the marks, anything could be done. Okay. Now all these functions are permissible also. The only things to be taken care of is importing your pickle module, okay, the extension of your binary file, the binary access mode, okay, while attempting to open the file, and then using the load and dump methods. So it is with using these methods that we are writing onto the file as well as reading the contents of the file. The idea clear? So now that let's have a comparison. The text files as well as the text files are sequential files. We already saw that because okay, it is all in the human understandable form and then as stored as sequential. That means there is a particular order in which stored. Okay. But when you consider a binary file, they contain arbitrary binary data. Okay, so this is the first difference. Now see the next difference. Text files only stores text. Okay. So even if you have a number or texture information, everything would be stored in the form of text. Not only that, only text contents can be stored here. But when you're talking about a binary file, we saw that in the definition itself, it is not only used to store binary data, it is used to store binary data like images, like video, audio, text, anything could be there. Even the text files could be saved here. Okay, this is the next. And then we learned that there is a delimiter, end of line delimiter associated with text files, and which was at usually \n, and it varied based on the operating system. That also we had seen. And since we are using if we are using Windows, it would be a combination of carriage return as well as the new line. Okay. But when you're considering the binary files, there is no delimiter. This is another difference with respect to the text files and the binary files. Due to the delimiter, text files takes more time to process. Now, since there is a delimiter, definitely it is not only for the reason of the delimiter, but the conversion or translation has to be done. And for this purpose also, more time is taken to process the text files, because reading and writing operations are performed on the file while doing. But in the case of binary files, there is no presence of delimiter, and also that processing is a little bit fast when you consider the binary files. Why? Because it is usually in a form that is understandable by the machine, right? So no other translation has to be done. Text files are easy to understand because they are in the human readable form, but not understandable by the machine. But when you consider the binary files, see, when you attempt to open and read the binary files, usually they are not readable or human understandable, right? But and for this reason, they are difficult to understand, but they are easily understood by the machine. Okay. Now, what was the extension for the text file? .dat. And with respect to binary files, it was .dat. And programming on text files was very easy, but programming with the files are a little difficult. These are the basic differences between the text files as well as the files. So, to sum up what we have seen today, let's quickly sum up what we have seen today. We learned the definition of binary files. Okay, we learned that binary files are just like any computer files, which are capable of storing images, videos, archive files, executable files. So we learned a variety of them as examples, right? And what are we learned certain features with respect to the binary files. We learned that they have no delimiter. They are represented in a form which is easily understood by the machine, but very difficult with the case of human, right? And then the processing and working with the binary files was much easier because no translation was needed in the case of machine point of view. Now we learned a couple of features, and then we learned the process of writing onto the binary files as well as onto the binary, reading from the binary files. So then we came across the processes pickling and unpickling. We learned the method dump, load. Then we learned the different binary operations other than the reading and writing, isn't it? What all did we learn? Learned the reading, the writing, the appending, inserting onto a file, then updating a content, searching for a particular record. Okay, all these different file operations we had learned. And how did we learn? We learned using sample programs, isn't it? And to end the discussion, towards the end, we saw a distinction between the text files as well as the binary. So this was how we had completed the concept of binary files. So actually with this video. It is like a one-shot video wherein you would be learning the entire binary files and its associated objects. Okay. Now, all the questions that would be asked would be some or the other variant of all the file operations that we had seen in this slide. Okay, so I hope all of you have understood today's lesson and there is not much of doubts. So let me wind up. So we have come to the end of today's session. So today's session was all about binary files and its implementation in Python. So you have to learn text files, CSV, and binary files. Now, all the three files have been listed in my lectures. And for those who have missed out the session, please go follow the Unacademy app and then search for my videos wherein you can get out and watch the videos in the Unacademy app as well as in the YouTube channel. Let's crack CBSE Science. Now, in the Unacademy app for the 12th class 12 CBSE students, there is a doubt solving batch which is running, which would help you prepare for the board examination. It commenced on 21st of December 2020 and the duration for 2 months, wherein you have a fixed timetable, wherein, say, for example, you have a timetable running or from the time as well as the days are being shown here: Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and the time 24-hour clock time in for the subject of physics, and which were offered by your favorite teachers and the top educators of Unacademy. So I would highly recommend for all the class 12 students to go through the attend the doubt solving batch and go through lectures so that it would help you to prepare better and score better in your questions. Okay. Now this is the prime batch running for class 11th final examination. It also commenced on December 21st, but it would be running for around 3 months and with curiosity timetable and different subjects being offered at what times. Okay. So things are being attached in my description box too. So those who wish to take may please go through the description box and then attempt to attend the doubt solving batch. Now, as you all know, we have not only the YouTube channel Let's Crack CBSE Science, but also the Unacademy app. Classes are also being conducted there. So to attend the classes, I mean to unlock the free content, the free classes that are running in Unacademy, please use the code SLYT. So it is this invite code that would help you unlock and then unlock the free content. I mean classes that are special classes available. With this, we have come to the end of today's session. And before bidding good night, let me remind you once more of my code SLYT. Now, this code helps you not only in getting a 10% discount in the Unacademy Plus subscription, but also in the Iconic subscription. Okay, so yes, thank you, Ritik. Thank you all for attending today. Hoping to meet all of you in my next class also. Please have a look at the lectures, I mean the lessons that are being posted in the Unacademy app too. So to unlock the free content, please use the same code, or you may use even this code SPSL, all in capital letters, or SLYT. Any of these codes could be used to unlock the free content from the Unacademy app. Okay, so with this, I am winding up today's session. A very good night. Thank you all for attending and hope next. Bye bye.